Let's get some insight into global reaction with Fred Teng, live from New York. He's the president of the America-China Public Affairs Institute. Fred, welcome to the program. President Xi publicly declared China should really take center stage in the world. Are we looking at a new world order for the 21st century, or is that still premature?
Well, I think as a lot of the parts of the world are taking more of an isolated position, such as America First or Brexit, China is taking a contrarian view. They feel that there's a community to share a common destiny. It's not so much of taking over the world, but working with the rest of the world together.
So how do you think his message and really vision played out around the world? What's been the reaction?
I think that everyone is studying. Certainly, it's a very long speech, 3 hours and 20 minutes and 32,000 words long. But it is a blueprint, a roadmap for the next 5 years and beyond in terms of China and its development, not only for domestically, but also internationally.
Fred, he talked about socialism with Chinese characteristics. He said that has entered a new era. What does he mean by that?
In some way, I think that China is saying that certainly this is a socialist country, but they're also doing it its own way, meaning with Chinese characteristic. Certainly in the last 50 years, 60 years, they have to make a lot of different changes, adapting in order to grow into today's stage of China.
Were there any surprises for you listening to the speech, as you mentioned, over 3 hours long?
Well, it's a lot to consume. I think that it is hard just within 24 hours to understand everything he has said. But like I said, it's a roadmap, and we should really take seriously. This is not a campaign statement, but more of a policy statement, laying out what China will do. And whenever China do this, what they say they will do, they're actually going to do it.
And this year's Congress really expected to further strengthen President Xi. Do you think that will give him the mandate to really push through with more structural and economic reforms in a more thorough manner?
Certainly. I think in the last 5 years, he already demonstrated that he can unite everyone together. He is very popular in China, and in terms of his leadership, certainly shows result. And when the leadership shows result, people will follow, and other leaders will follow him as well.
Fred, let me turn to this ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, really remarkable as far as its scale and scope goes, connecting much of the world. What will it mean for China? All these countries who have signed on along the Silk Road, the ancient Silk Road, what does it mean in terms of trade, investment, and infrastructure for the region?
It is really a vast and ambitious plan, and it's going to take a long time. Many of the countries have signed up because they can see benefits for their own country. Many of the countries in Central Asia, as well as Europe, they see this as one chance for them to have another renaissance of their own economy. For China is, we talked about earlier, in terms of community of a common destiny. China wants to share wealth and help grow wealth first with its neighbor and then extend and beyond. And I think that is really, China is looking at, and at the end, it will benefit China as well.
Well, what do you tell critics who say the One Belt, One Road initiative is really another way for China to grow its influence on the world stage?
Well, I don't think it's just the influence. Certainly, economy power, there will be influence, but it's also a very good idea and wonderful vision in terms of building and helping those countries who are least getting helped. We're talking about the countries without really sea coast. We're talking about countries who are second tier in terms of the European countries, and they can really benefit from the growth. And from your previous, interviewers, that they also talk about, this is something that everybody is amazed and envious of China's doing, and they basically is using their model and helping the other countries.
Well, let's be a little bit more specific about that. Where do you believe China is making a positive difference?
Okay, if we're only going to talk about One Belt, One Road, this is going to be a long-range plan. It is not going to be achieved within 3 years or 5 years. This is more going to be a century plan, 50 or 100 years, in order to, when you see some tremendous results. The difference is that by launching an idea like that, by launching the Asia Infrastructure Investment Banks, they're looking for some of the shortfalls that's not being, it's being overlooked by the world, and helping those countries that truly can be in need.
All right, we'll leave it there. Fred Teng, thank you.